How's it going, everybody? Quentin with Wet Dreams here. So as you've seen in the last video, we were getting ready to install this pod. We ran into a few issues. We had too long bolts, so we couldn't quite get it mounted up. I did go out and pick up the bolts today, so stick around. We're gonna get this cleaned up, get this properly prepped. Right now, we just need to scuff it a little bit and wipe down with acetone. I actually already prepped the pod, so I just need to wipe that down. We're gonna get this bolted up and get the, I guess this would be the passenger side finished up. So hang tight, we're gonna get this thing mounted up. Okay, got the pod here. And you see, it's all scuffed up nice and good. So I wanted it to be nice and coarse like that. I think we used this, I want to say 60 grit, 60 or 80 orbital sander. Just scuff this all up. That way, whenever we apply the adhesive, it's gonna hold on tight. So for the adhesive, I know a lot of people like to use the 3M 5200 or the 4000, I think it's 4200, which is a non-permanent adhesive. So what I'm actually going to use, because I found the 3M 5200 at a local store, kind of reading up on it. It does not specify that it'll bond to metal. I didn't quite like that. I wanted something that's directly called out that it will bond to metal. I believe the 3M 5200 specifies wood, fiberglass, gel coat. Obviously, not wood, not fiberglass, not gel coat. So I ended up finding this. It is Loctite adhesive sealant. It's marine fast cure. This does specify that it does bond to metal, so that is what I was looking for. So that's going to be the sealant I use, the adhesive I use, and I don't see any reason why I wouldn't hold up. A lot of people online compare this to the 3M 4200, so I don't think there'll be any issues there whatsoever. Plus, we're going to have the bolts in there anyway, so this is really just an extra level of securing this pod to the boat because we're not welding it. So I'm going to get these prepped up with some acetone, and then we'll apply the adhesive. Around the edges, we are going to end up wanting to seal that. We'll end up ultimately at the very end of all this, we will scuff the entire pod and we will get that ready for paint. We're going to paint it a matte brown, green brown, more like a moss brown, I guess, moss green. And we're going to do that so it matches the hull. So while we're wiping it down, you won't think it'd be that much dirt on it. It's new. I blew it off of the air hose after sanding it, and as you can see on this rag, there is still a ton of dirt on it. So that's what we're trying to get off there. That way we get a good bond. We don't have any material reducing the adhesion on the surface. So I'm gonna flip over, get a new clean side. So as you see, it's clean. We're gonna see how bad this is. Now there's a little bit of marker on there, so it's gonna make it look a little off. But again, you just see the amount of dirt residue that was on that rag. So that was all on that transom. Like I said, a little bit, that's probably Sharpie, but I don't think enough of it Sharpie to actually hurt anything. We are good to go. I am going to apply this to both the pod and boat, or the transom. I will say this is definitely hard to squeeze the trigger. It's definitely a thicker, I see it coming down the tube, it's definitely a thicker adhesive, thicker sealant. Let's get going though, it seems like it applies really nice. will say this, make sure you're using this in a well-ventilated area, because this definitely adds some odor to it. Oh, try to get around that. Boy, making a mess now. That going again. Let's get back to getting pretty looking. Doing too fast. Well, that's not the prettiest thing I've ever done. We don't want to waste that. Pressure off there. Like I said, this stuff is really thick. We don't want that. And it's kind of like a giant snot. Oh boy. That is not going to be fun to get off my hand. Okay, so this is going to be tricky. The main one I want to get started first is down here, because that's the hardest one to get to. So I'm trying to get that one in first. It was easier yesterday because I did have Adam to hold this. And as you can tell, no Adam today. That is going to make this a little tricky. All right, back down. Get you back over here. So you can kind of see what we're dealing with over there. So get back over, and we're literally just about the very thing that I didn't want to do. I'm going to go over all these. These are all cinched nice and tight. Bottom ones I'm going to put a little bit more torque on them. This, it's a double pane aluminum. There is no wood in it, so I don't want to crank on it too far to the point where I'm bending this too out of shape. So, the bottom ones is just straight hull, what the hull material is, so I can run it. As long as I'm not breaking them, I'm okay with it. Alright. I'm going to flip you guys around. We're going to get a look at the finished product here. And we're going to end up, so like I said, we're going to end up painting this pod, but right now we're going to get this silicone cleaned up a little bit, make it look a little prettier so it doesn't look like just a big glob of gunk lying around. Everything I read, this stuff is not the most pleasant to deal with once it dries, so I do want to try to get it ahead of that. And I'll probably actually even run another bead around it just to try to help seal up those edges, make sure that there is no chance of water getting in here. So, give me a couple minutes to do that, and we're gonna come back and I'll show you guys a nice close-up. We'll get a light on it so you guys can really see what we did here. Okay, as you can see here, we got the pod up. You can see the caulking going across the top here. You can see it's not really even, so we're gonna smooth this all out. We're gonna get the side evened up, make sure we got a good seam across the bottom, seal across the bottom, and we're gonna do the same on the inside here. But, so for those of you who don't know, so silicone sticks about everything. There's a way you can minimize how badly it sticks to your hand to get a little smoother finish. It's just wetting your finger with water or something like that. Some people spit on their fingers, could do that, but I'm a little parched, so don't have much saliva at the moment. But also, I got a leftover Pepsi from yesterday, so I don't see to use that. Okay, so what I'm doing, just got the pod applied, tighten down the bolts. Caulking's pressing out the seams, so I'm just going around smoothing it out, trying to fill in all the gaps, make sure we got a good seal. I will end up going over all this again, more than likely, with additional caulking after it dries for a few, just to really make sure that we got a good seal. I don't have any doubt that we do, but it doesn't hurt to be safe, because this is the hull of the boat, so I don't feel like taking on water. So get this checked here. I think I'm actually gonna have to go down this side. Do got a gap there. Let's make sure. Do got a slight gap, but must just be the way the transoms is. I'm tight whole way over to here. So a slight gap right over on this side here. hopefully you guys can see me. Right down in here, it's right where that troublesome bolt was from yesterday. I don't think it'll be pose too much issues. I'm gonna try to torque on that a little harder, see if I can maybe get that snug up a little bit. Okay, so I got out from underneath that pod, climbed up, I went back into the transom, and ended up just being a lot of noise and clutter there, so I didn't really feel like showing you guys that. But basically what I did was I went through all those bolts again, and then just kept kind of going over them, similar to like what you would with a tire wheel. You follow a star pattern whenever you tighten down the lugs. So I did a similar approach with those 10 bolts on the inside. I worked the outside ones, middle, then just kept repeating that until I felt that they were all tight as they could get. With that caulking being so thick, it seemed like the more I did tighten it up, the more it did press out. So it just took a little bit for that caulking to settle. That stuff, like I said, it is thick, so it's it took a little bit. It has a very heavy viscosity, so it took a little bit to kind of get it all pressed out and smoothed out. Right now, I'm just going around it all again, just filling in any voids where I think there's gaps or anything like that, and anywhere where I think there needs to be a little bit extra. Will say and points this out, going over with your hands, even if you wet them, the trick is normally if you wet your hands, the silicone don't really stick that much, and that's not the case with this adhesive. It sticks through the water regardless of what you do. So what I found works really good is just keep a rag nearby with a little bit of mineral spirits on it, or acetone, and just wiping off your hands after seems to make a big difference. Okay, so as promised, here we go. So you can see right in here, got a nice, a little bit of dirt on there, that's from my shirt, but right there you can see that's probably an air pocket honestly, but that pushed up from the last time we just snugged them up. So that's the reason why we did that, to make sure that these are tight. And the fact that came up out of there says add a little bit of room to go yet. Put it down through here. Now I definitely need to go in here and clean up some of those little hangers. I'll do that with a rag and acetone in a minute. I'm not going to share that. You guys don't need to see that. And here we go on the inside. Now you can see where the caulking did push out more there from tightening them up. I'll get that smoothed out, and we're pretty much done with this. So thank you guys for tuning in. This is the passenger side pod. It is done. It is installed. I am going to put a hatch on top. I do have to put an access hatch on top of it to cover up that hole that we made to get in there to those bolts. I'll do that here later. You guys don't need to see that. I'll show you what I did with it. I'm not going to show you the process of me actually doing it, making it, and doing all that stuff. I don't need to bore you with that. But yeah, so you can see pod's mounted up. I don't know if I should do this yet, but it's solid. I mean, there's a little bit of inflection in it, but not much. I mean, honestly, it's probably just the transom moving, and I'm not light. I'm putting probably 150 pounds of pressure on that. Just making it wiggle a little bit, but I ain't bad. So I'm gonna let this sit for a few minutes. I am gonna go over the bolts one more time after about probably 10 minutes. Give it some time, because like I said, that adhesive is thick. So it's not gonna be moving around real quick. So I'm just gonna kind of keep pressing on it, trying to really make sure it kind of flattens itself out, gets through all those cracks and crevices, and that any excess is pushed out of the way, so we get a good, true adhesion, and that it is metal to metal. On the next side, I might not get as carried away with adhesives. I might just put it on the pod or the transom only. I think I might have got a little carried away putting it on both. Show you the bolts here real quick on last time. So we did, there's 1, 2, 3. The fourth one right there, you can see the silver head. That is the one on this bracket right here. That's the one that we can't quite get. I probably could have got a bigger washer on it, but that's the one we can't get in with the impact. Couldn't get into with the drill. That was a factory hole. The pod just happened to cover it up, so we had to reuse it. We got the hole down here. And then underneath that pan is where the third hole is in this line. And it's that bolt down in the bottom underneath that pan. That was so tricky to get into. Then below, these four going through the thicker portion of the transom, we have these two here and two here. And then the third one under there, like I said, and third one over here, like we just seen. So that is the pod install. They do recommend minimum 5. So that's a minimum. I like to overkill, so we got, what was it, 10 bolts in there. Should be more than enough to support that. I would like it welded, but my welding capabilities aren't the best. I don't have access to a TIG welder. If I had a TIG welder, I'd probably be more comfortable with it. Spool gun welder, I mean, I could do it, but I'm a lot more comfortable with this than I am welding it. So thanks for watching. As always, wet dreams.